Okay, I think we can start. Let me turn on my camera so you can also see me. One moment. So, hi. Oh. Hi, thanks all for joining. We have a very exciting day today with the new release of the farms. And actually I'm very thrilled of it myself, very happy to finally be able to do so. Sami is here as our co-moderator today, or co-host. So hi Sami.
Good afternoon. Afternoon.
Great to have you here as well. And let's actually jump straight into it. For the order, basically, what we are doing, we will first show you the brand new farming pools and what they are capable of. And that will be on a local version of it, so it's not released. And that means, you can take your attention to what I'm showing you, to the explanations, and then after this AMA or launch party, we will release the farming pools to the public, so you can directly interact with them and do exactly what I am showing you now, what you can do with them. And therefore, let's share my screen with the farming pools on it. Yeah, perfect. Now, hopefully everyone should see my screen. Sami, can you validate that, please?
Yeah, I can see your screen. I can see it. It's clear.
Perfect. And yeah, that already are the farming pools. So as you had already seen, we have the earn tab on our swap now. So that means in addition to the swap and liquidity, you can now also go to the earn tab. And here we have our core token pairs basically. So you see there already are quite a few, and we will also add a lot more in the coming days as we see fit. And what that farms are about is you provide basically liquidity as before. And for providing liquidity, some of you might have already seen that you are getting IcecreamSwap LP tokens. And with the IcecreamSwap LP tokens, now you can use them in the farm. You can provide them in the farm and earn additional ICE on top of your trading fees that you're either way earning from the liquidity. So that means it's kind of like the weekly airdrop, but not weekly anymore, but like continuously. So that means every second you basically get ice cream for your liquidity, and not only once per week. You can clearly see all the APRs on the pools. And the very interesting thing is the APRs are calculated automatically depending on the usage of the pools. So that means when more of you are providing liquidity in these pools, the APR will fit to that, and therefore the APR will automatically adjust based on how popular the pairs are. And what that means is, for example, stablecoins are, as you hopefully know, very like a safe, or if you trust the stablecoin providers, at least is quite a safe investment. And in the staking pools, the liquidity, as the stablecoins always have the same price, you don't have something called impermanent loss. So you don't need to speculate on any tokens. You just can provide stable coins, and that's it. You earn passive on that, and therefore staking or providing liquidity for stable coins is quite low risk, and that will also be reflected in the APR of these pools. So not all pairs get the same APR. That completely is calculated automatically, and so it is fair. And everything you need to do is you provide liquidity. So for example, here you say enable contract, and then afterwards you add your LP tokens, and then on the on a continuous basis, you can see currently this pool, for example, has 85% APR, and I already earned 1.8 ice cream tokens by staking. Staking my liquidity tokens from ICE USDT I, for example. And yeah, you can see there's a total liquidity of 119 dollars in there. Currently, as it's not public, that's just like internal. We staked a bit to test everything out. And therefore, especially at the beginning, the APYs, APRs are immensely high. And you can see they are currently not that immensely high. I mean, 85% is quite high, but we decided to have a bit lower APRs now on release, because having the full APRs on release would mean that we are distributing the currently $80,000 per week to only a few users. And so we decided to start with a way lower amount that we distribute, but only for the next day or so. And then once all the liquidity moved, or a big portion of it moved to the staking pools or the liquidity farming pools, we will have the insane APRs that we currently have with the weekly airdrops. Actually, they even will be bigger for many tokens, because they, like mentioned, fit depending on how many liquidity is in the specific pools. So there might be pools with upwards of 1000% APR. Let's see. So to make it very clear, you don't need to remove your liquidity for that. You simply provide liquidity or keep your liquidity that you have provided before. And then you receive the ice cream LP token for that liquidity you provided. And with these ice cream LP token, you can add your liquidity here to the earnings section. And then that liquidity will automatically earn you continuous interest for your liquidity. Exactly. So that's basically already the main feature of the earning pools. There's a lot that the earning pools are enabling us to do, but from a user perspective, they are actually quite simple to use. You see how much you get for providing the liquidity. You can simply add your liquidity here, and then you continuously get that APR that's calculated here. That's not a fixed APR, so that means that APR changes over time, especially with other users adding more to that pool. The APR changes, so that's like at the moment, that's the APR. So it also is nice to take a continuous look there, like every few weeks or so, and maybe decide whether the pools you are currently in are still the ones you want to be in. Then what you might have also seen is the multiplier here, like 50x, 40x, 30x. That's basically how the total portion of the ice cream token that's getting distributed. So this first pool, the ICE USDT pool, gets 50 times the total amount of ICE that we distribute than another pool that might have only 1x. But that's all in the APR. And whenever you don't see an APR, like for example here, that currently just means that's a new pool and no one has provided liquidity in it. And the APR is therefore actually infinite. So by just providing like 1 cent worth of liquidity, you will earn the whole pool's APR, which will be a lot. And therefore, when there's no liquidity provided yet in that staking pool or in the farming pool, you won't see an APR, but that does not mean that there is an issue or there's no APR. That just means the APR is infinitely large, and you will see an actual APR once users have started to provide liquidity in that pool. Yeah, that's it with the staking pools. What the staking pools enable us to do is we can work together with other projects and enable them to boost their liquidity staking APR. So that means, for example, a project like Lunagans might cooperate with IcecreamSwap on that and provide additional weekly or continuous ice cream tokens for the Lunagans USDTI, for example, liquidity tokens. And therefore we can directly work with other projects. All projects have the possibility to boost their own APR of their own pool and own token. We can also add more of the pairs when the need arises. So if your pair that you are currently providing liquidity for is not in that list, and that list already is containing many of or most of the main liquidity pairs, then we can also add additional pools for that. Yeah, and that's it about the staking pools, the liquidity farming that we now have. We will enable that feature after this AMA, and I would suggest everyone that is currently providing liquidity to take their liquidity and put it into the earning pools, so the farming pools, and therefore you start to continuously earn interest on your liquidity in addition to the trading fees that you're already or either way getting from the liquidity you provided. Yeah, Sammy, is there maybe something you want to add? Is there anything I forgot?
Nothing serious. Everything went well. Just for the liquidity providers, no need of removing their LP tokens or to separate the assets which they provided liquidity for. When the farm is live, which will go after the AMA session, they are to add the liquidity back. They are to provide the LP tokens to the farm. They should supply it to the farm to earn the ice cream token. That's just the main stuff for the farm, and we hope every user enjoys it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, then again that it's super clear. No need to remove or change or whatever liquidity. Just take the liquidity you already are providing and stake it here or put it in the liquidity farms. And then that will earn you the additional passive income on top of the liquidity and on top of the trading fees that you are already getting. These new farms will replace our weekly airdrops. They are essentially doing a very similar thing, which is distributing our initial supply of the ice cream token, but in a way more precise way that we can that all the different pools have different APRs, etc., and that you're continuously earning the ice cream token. So there's like never a delayed weekly airdrop again or whatever. You just removed your liquidity shortly before the airdrop or something like that. Like basically every single second that you have your liquidity in these farms earns you passive income. And not sure whether we can see it right now, but actually even the ice earned that's showing here, that should increase continuously. So if I refresh the page now, so we see it's 1.84606. When I refresh the page now, let's actually see. Yeah, it already increased. So I think the last 3 digits changed. So that means even while we are talking just now, I earned, or my liquidity earned, actual ice cream tokens. And that's exactly what you can and should also do. Provide your already provided liquidity into these pools and earn continuous ice cream tokens on top of it. Yeah, perfect. And also for other projects that are listening, or maybe you are part of a project that might be interested in that. all projects can come to us and boost their pools, so they have even bigger APRs on them. We just need to be in contact with the projects, and yeah, then they can boost their own APRs. Okay, then we will release the farming section in a moment. The important things of the AMA were said. It's like mentioned from a user's from your perspective, from a user's perspective, they should be quite self-explanatory. There's also a lot of information provided. For example, if you click on the APR, you have a very detailed listing, so you can, for example, simulate or calculate if you provide, in that case, $1,000 for 1 year, and let's say you're compounding every 14 days, you are getting $1,300 back at the end of the year. Which is quite cool. What does compounding in that case mean? You are continuously earning ice cream tokens from the pools, but these ice cream tokens stay in the pools till you harvest them. So as you can see here, I can harvest them. I can actually do that now. I can harvest them, and when I harvest them and just send the transaction to the chain, I did not do it now. When I harvest them, I will receive the ice cream tokens in my wallet, and then compounding means the ice cream token that I receive, I take them to further provide liquidity. So in that case, I have the ICE-USDT pair, the ice cream token that I continuously earn. I harvest them continuously and provide them back as additional ICE-USDT liquidity. And we can also take a look at how important compounding is. Let's, for example, say we have $1,000, but take it for quite some time, so for 5 years, which is quite a long time. And you can already see with the current APR and compounding every day, which is quite a lot, let's say every 7 days, you are earning like a ton. Your earnings as $67,000. So that's is 6,700% gains basically. So quite a lot. And when I disable the compounding, you see it's only $4,000. And you see how immensely that differs whether you are compounding or not. So compounding is important as it was before. So all ice cream tokens you're earning, you should provide back, or you can provide back as additional liquidity, and that immensely increases what you're earning at in the long run. So it also depends on how often you reinvest it. For example, if instead of every 7 days you're reinvesting it every 30 days, you see it drops from $67,000 to $60,000. But that's not that bad. What is bad is when you don't provide it back, then it drops to $4,000. So that's the name of the game, compounded. With that, I would actually open the chat and microphone. Maybe someone wants to add questions that we can answer now, and after that we will release the farming pools to the public. So that's mainly it for now. Does anyone have questions, and can we does anyone wants to go to the mic? Let me also take a look in our group chat. I'm not sure whether it's already unmuted, so let's please unmute the group chat, and then everyone can ask questions. But if there are no questions, I'm happy, because then we achieved our goal. Yeah, hello.
This Albert. So
it's very hard to understand you. Can you write us in the chat, please?
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we already have our first question in the chat, and that is how come that Price Ice Pool has very low APR? That's what I mentioned at the beginning. We are increasing the APR by today. So that means we are releasing it with comparably low APRs and increasing it by the rest of the day. Because when we would distribute the full amount now, with so much liquidity, so few liquidity already staked, we would, the APRs would be most likely in the hundreds of thousand%. And therefore you can stake your liquidity, you can use the farms, and the APR in comparison to the other APRs are the same. So that means if one pool has a high APR, that will stay that way, except like other users add liquidity, but the APRs in general will be a lot higher by tomorrow. So that's basically the onboarding day today, to give everyone the chance to add the liquidity tokens, and then by tomorrow we will enable the actual real APRs. Okay, what's the next question? Any plan for fixed term with higher return of investment? No, we only have the dynamic pools, and that's actually quite important to stay flexible for us. You know how fast crypto moves, and we don't want to provide fixed APRs for projects that might not be there anymore in a few weeks or something like that. So it's very important that it is as flexible as possible, and that actually is also very nice from the user perspective, because that means there are always new opportunities arising. You just need to take a continuous look at the pools, and maybe you see pools that you like a lot and has insanely high APRs. And then you have the possibility to provide the liquidity for that to earn these high APRs. Will the yield farming replace the airdrops? Yes. For the moment, the yield farming the farms are enabled for BitGert. So that means the other chains still currently have the airdrops, but we will also enable farms for them in a few days or weeks. But for BitGert, the farms replace the airdrop. There's one last airdrop outstanding, and that will happen. And you also don't need to worry about staking your LP tokens in the farms, because we will make the the airdrop for yesterday. As everything is public on the blockchain and persisted on the blockchain, we can also look up what was at a certain time, and therefore we will calculate the airdrops based on who provided liquidity yesterday. And therefore everyone can now switch their liquidity or move their liquidity tokens to the farms and still receive the last outstanding airdrop. What will be the APR for ICE Lunargens pool? The APR for ICE Lunargens pool, that is, as all APRs, not fixed. So that means however many users will stake in that pool, the APR will change. And maybe Lunargens also will or wants to cooperate with us on the to boost the APR. Let's take a look there. So that's there's a possibility that they get further boosted, but actually Lunargens is the highest or the BitGert token that has the highest multiplier on it, and that means it already will have most likely one of the highest APRs of all the tokens. Also a very important thing, the liquidity is not locked. So the pools, they are not locking staking pools. You can withdraw your liquidity at any time. And also on the website, when you are looking at the calculator, it's saying staked for. That just means that you provide liquidity for that amount of time. That does not mean that you lock your liquidity for that amount of time. Yeah, hi.
Hey Simon,
Hi.
can you
How's
hear
it
me?
going? I was able to hear you. Feel free to just speak.
Yeah, so you answered one of the questions regarding the APR. I would also like to know that you would have dedicated some specific amount of tokens for the pools, right? So how will you decide that the exact APR for different pools?
Can you please rephrase the question?
Yeah, so I'm asking that you would have dedicated some amount of the ICE tokens for the pools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, how will you decide that which pool would have which number of the APR? How would you decide the APR initially? That how much APR should be there in, say for example, ICE long, and how much APR should be in ICE bris, or long bris,
Mhm.
or like that. So how
Yeah.
will you decide that APR?
There are multiple factors. Like first of all, we don't decide the APR, but the APR is calculated based on how many users are providing liquidity in that farm. But we have that multiplier, and that multiplier is set by us. And that's basically how important that token is for IcecreamSwap to have a lot of liquidity in. So that means, for example, USDT I and price, or USDT I and ice cream token, is a very important token or pair for the swap and for the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. And therefore, these pairs will have quite a high multiplier, while other tokens that are, for example, project tokens, it's nice that we have them, and it's also important to have liquidity in them so everyone can trade these tokens, but they are not crucial for the blockchain itself. So that means, we internally define these multipliers, and then these multipliers, together with how many liquidity is staked in a specific pool, that determines the end APR.
All right. So you have any specific criteria for multipliers or anything like that, or?
We have the multipliers. You could, I can actually share it again. Give me one moment. Every pool has a multiplier, and before we saw it once that the first pools, the highest multipliers are 50x, and that's the multipliers, how much liquidity or how much ice cream token will be distributed for the whole pool. And for example, here you can see the ICE USDTI, as already explained, is a very important trading pair, and therefore it has the highest multiplier with the 50x. And that means, for example, the 30x ICE price is therefore by 40% or something like that, less ICE gets distributed in this pool in total than gets distributed in this pool. But as users use the pools, the APR changes, because the tokens that get distributed per pool then gets distributed amongst all users that stake in that pool. We will also adjust the multipliers over time.
All right, got that. It helped a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great question. We had one question, was the continuous ice cream airdrops basically, or the farming rewards, how we stop people from selling them continuously. And actually, if people want, or if anyone wants to sell their received airdrops or received rewards, he's totally free to do so. So there's no everyone can do with their rewards as you please. But as I showed you, the compounding is the important part. So as I showed you, for 5 years, which is quite some time, but for 5 years, the difference was $4,000 earnings versus, I think, $57,000 earnings. So it's in the interest of everyone to provide the ice cream they receive back as additional liquidity, because then they earn the additional airdrops or the additional rewards also on these liquidity that they provided. And that makes a huge difference. So whenever someone wants to sell their tokens, he is totally free, as of like it should be. But it just is not that smart actually to do so, because then you earn way less if you don't provide it back as liquidity. The question is, why is there no IcecreamSwap or ACO on the pools? And that's we have IcecreamSwap. There are pools with Ice and ACO. So maybe just not seen. Looks like Lunagans already wants to boost their pool even further. That's nice. We can talk afterwards about that. We will be super happy to do so. And as mentioned, we will be super happy to do this with all projects. So all projects that want to create extra incentives for their token, extra utility for their token, we can jointly create a staking pool. We already have staking pools for most of the bigger projects on BitGert, but these staking pools can also be boosted or further boosted from the project. So nice opportunity for our projects on BitGert. We can work together on that. APR of the farming pools in comparison to the current airdrops. That depends on per pool basis. So there for sure will be pools that have super high APRs, maybe even in the area of thousands of percentage, and other pools, maybe stablecoin pools, for example, that are very low risk, might have a bit lower APRs than the airdrops. So like mentioned, the pools adjust themselves depending on how popular they are. The APRs change. And in the background, the multiplier will also be continuously fitted from us, so it fits the current ecosystem condition. We can remove LP rights and move to yield farming. You don't need to remove your liquidity. That is what you provide in the yield farming. So the first step is to provide liquidity, and then the second step is to use that LP token that you get for providing liquidity and stake it in the farming contracts, in the farming pools. Also, as I just mentioned, contracts. One very interesting and important feature, we have completely custodial free farming pools. So that means you are interacting with smart contracts where even if we wanted to steal the funds, we simply are not able to. So that means there's not even need for trust. We don't have any special permissions on these staking pools. And that's actually different for most other projects, because normally the staking pools, they are a fork of SushiSwap and PancakeSwap staking pools, and many projects provide them, but SushiSwap and PancakeSwap actually are not non-custodial. So that means they have a possibility in the smart contracts to there's a migration possibility, and with this migration feature, they actually can take users' funds, which obviously is very bad. And yeah, we removed that feature, so we are one of the most likely very few staking providers that actually is non-custodial. Most other providers are custodial, including SushiSwap and PancakeSwap, but we are not. Let me go through the questions. There was a question, is it self-explanatory how exactly you move the LP tokens directly onto the farming website? It's on the blockchain, they are already there. So that means you have LP tokens in your wallet, then you can directly use them with farming. You don't need to move them. You simply provide liquidity, therefore you receive LP tokens, and with these LP tokens you can use the farms. You don't need to transfer them in any way, etc. You just directly use them with farms. So you first provide liquidity and then you use the farms. There's no step in between. You don't need to transfer the tokens anywhere. Show everyone how it's done. Let's go. Let me take a wallet where I can give an example where I have nothing staked yet. Okay, that's a good question actually. We go through the process once, like from kind of the beginning. The beginning is you provide liquidity. And I think most of you already know how to do that or even did that. And nice. And yeah, so that means you simply click the add liquidity button. You choose 2 tokens. Actually, nice, I have some ice cream tokens, so let's provide 1 ice cream. That's too much. Just for an example, I provide the liquidity. That means I first approve both tokens. In that case, ice cream token. After the approval went through, I can supply the liquidity, and we can already open the Explorer, so you can see what's happening in the background. The transaction is pending, and you can also see I already have the IcecreamSwap.com LP token for the other liquidity I provided. And once this transaction goes through, I will have another IcecreamSwap.com LP token. And that's the LP token that you use in the liquidity staking. Now the transaction is completed. After refreshing the Explorer page, we should see that I have another IcecreamSwap.com LP token. Not yet, but it will be there. The Explorer sometimes takes a bit of time. And now I have IcecreamSwap LP tokens. And no, I just approved it. Let's actually provide liquidity. Here you can also see it on the website. It now even states you will receive ICE LP token, and you can even add that to your MetaMask wallet. Now with one click, you can also add other tokens from the UI now, which is very cool. But there's actually no need to add the LP tokens to your wallet. And once we have it provided, for example, now it was ICE price, which directly is here, we first need to enable the contract. transaction submitted, and after we enabled the contract, we can stake that. Again, the APRs are currently just kind of dummy APRs, and they will reflect the actual APRs by tomorrow. Once the transaction went through, I simply can stake the tokens here, and therefore then earn passive ice cream on top of it. Let's actually increase the gas price a bit. Oh, that's the gas limit. Gas price. Yeah, and now it should execute a bit faster. Yeah, needing to wait a bit for the transactions here. We are waiting, by the way, on the blockchain. Now it executed on the blockchain, so that's not from IcecreamSwap, that's from the blockchain. And now you see I enabled the contract, and now I can stake LP. And it shows me that I have 0.03 LP tokens. That's just like a random number kind of that represents your share of the pool. Let's supply everything, confirm it, and that's already it. So now it takes again a moment till the transaction actually go through. But after the transaction is through, I will see that I have provided liquidity. There's already $9,000 in liquidity in the token. I added that as to test everything, so that's also why the APR is currently that low. But yeah, it will be immensely increased. Obviously, that's not the real APR. And once the transaction goes through, we will see how much liquidity I provided. We will even see the value, the current counter value of the liquidity I provided. And I will earn passive income or interest on top of that without doing anything. And I can harvest that passive interest every time. Let's also increase that gas price so it's faster. Maybe we have a question in between on the voice channel while we are waiting for the transaction to complete. Okay, fine. Transaction also completed. So at least my MetaMask did show me that it is completed. Oh, nope. Sorry. Perfect, there it is. We can see that I staked the 0.03 LP tokens. They are currently worth rounded $0. So if you provide actual amounts, that was like a tiny amount I just provided. If you provide actual amounts, you also see how much you provided in a dollar value, and you can then see how much you earned also. So currently I earned nothing yet. Will also take quite some time with the APR and the low liquidity I just added. But once I earn something here, I can press the harvest button and just harvest it. Let's also speed up that one a bit. Okay. So it should be, already went through. So, and now we can see I already earned or harvested a tiny amount of ice cream token for adding a tiny amount of ice cream token. And that's basically the whole process. The first half of the process, I think most of you already are familiar with that, with the adding of liquidity. We have our very fancy new UI. I actually personally really fell in love with the new UI. But essentially the steps are exactly the same as adding liquidity before. And after you added liquidity, you can directly use that liquidity here on that page. Great. Then let's continue or see whether we have further question. Last airdrop, yeah, I talked about that. We will have one last airdrop on Bitgert. The other chains might have two more or something like this. But there's one last airdrop, but the last airdrop on Bitgert will be calculated by yesterday. So that means even if you move your liquidity now to LP tokens now to farming, that doesn't matter because farming was not there before or yesterday, and therefore we can do the airdrop on Bitgert as usual last time, and from them there will be farms. And I suggest everyone adding their liquidity tokens to the farms after the AMA, because that's how you, or that's the new way how you earn the additional interest. And yeah, would be a waste if you don't do it, if you don't claim it. How strong is the security? We are building on top of the audited but now slightly modified PancakeSwap liquidity contracts, farming contracts. That's actually they come from us, from SushiSwap. So PancakeSwap forked them themselves, and now we fork PancakeSwap on the farming contracts. But we made the very crucial modification to remove the migration feature, and the migration feature could be used to withdraw users' funds. And that's why we completely removed that feature, because that makes us non-custodial. So that means we don't have any access to user funds as a team. The smart contracts simply don't allow us to access them. And that's very important because therefore basically no one needs to pray that we behave, because we can't misbehave in that sense. Add more liquidity, yeah, that's great, because then you also have a bigger share of the farms and earn a lot more. And especially now at the beginning, the farms will have super immensely high APRs. Yeah. Also, ice cream token is still a cap token, so we have a fixed cap on the supply of ice cream token, which is 10 million. We just use the farms to distribute these 10 millions, but the cap of ice cream tokens are always 10 millions. Nothing changed with that. And we will even use the fees earned on our different products, on our different chains, to buy back and burn the ice cream tokens in the future. So it even will be less than 10 million in the future. Okay, here was a actually nice suggestion that I like, to have boosting NFTs for the liquidity pools. In general, what we definitely won't do is we don't create NFTs without like a real purpose, or like that. Yeah. But actual NFTs to further boost the APRs, that is possible in the smart contracts. We implemented a method for that. I had not thought to use NFTs for that, but actual ice cream staking. So that means you're actually locking your ice cream token for a certain amount of time, and therefore your APR on the other pools increases. But that's a thing for the future. Okay, I think we have most questions answered now. Okay, I think everyone is waiting for the pools to go live. Then let's not wait further and close the current AMA session. We will be on the IcecreamSwap Telegram all the time. So if anything, like if you have any further questions, we either way can answer them all the time. I will close the AMA now, trigger the release of the new farms. That will take approximately 10 minutes, and then in 10 minutes everyone can use the farms. And be early and don't miss on the farms, because it's basically free ice cream, and claim it. Okay, then thank you all so much for joining. Also, Sammy, thanks for being here and validating that everything is working fine. We will hear each other, I think, in the future, or quite soon, because we have a lot more stuff that's being released or being in our release pipeline. Okay, then see you later. Thanks all for joining. Bye.